hello, and welcome to the Thriving Life with me. This is Jennifer Hough. We are talking about your superpowers today. Like, what if you had your greatest superpower and it's just hiding in plain sight? Come on. And when I say superpower, I don't mean like that you're a super mom or that you're a super dad or you're a super executive or you're a type A get her done medical doctor or a biggest bridge in the world building, engineer. I'm not talking about like those three-dimensional superpowers. I'm actually talking about superpowers that transcend reason. You know, but let's just ask you some questions. What do you think your superpower is now? You can put it in the comments if you want. What do you think your superpower that transcends reason, that you have a pretty good feeling that most people aren't like that, right? Most people, they're not like, they don't have that. It's unique to you. So a superpower, just to define it, is a way of being that you can't help. It's a way of being. This is the first characteristic. It's a way of being. You can't help it. It's just the way you are. Second, you probably take it for granted and have thought that everybody else can do it when they can't. I love, Eliza just said, I just know things. Dude, I get it. I would say my superpower is to build bridges from where people are stuck into not only just being able to be unstuck, but actually be able to take it, have it feed their beingness, and then be able to flourish forward. So then the thing that made them stuck actually causes exponentiation. And I can build those. I love building those bridges. It's fun for me. What about for you? What's a superpower for you? So, we're going to talk about one of those superpowers that I will guarantee you have. And I love that one of the people that worked for us who absolutely has the superpower of literally spreading calm wherever she goes. It's like she just embodies it. She's got the gene. She walks into a room and there's like a sigh that goes out when she walks in the room. What is it for you? What is that superpower for you? But we're going to be talking about the ones that hide in plain sight, especially one in particular. Are you excited? Are you curious? You have it already. I bet you're not using it to the fullest degree, though. Bet you anything. So, last but not least, I wanted to make sure that you guys know that absolutely we have a program. It starts tomorrow called Innate Abilities. Innate Abilities is all about the 12 superpowers. And I described it the other day. I described it so well. I'm always unclear if people really, really get it. When we go through an era shift, when we go through a massive shift, and we're going through a massive shift in society, economically, certainly politically, even the monetary system, all of these different systems sociologically, people giving their power away to leaders instead of actually being empowered themselves. We're being asked to look at that in the biggest way right now. There are actually ways of being that you can learn, and not only learn, that you can have the door opened about them, kind of like when someone first shows you that you can balance on two wheels on a bike, right? First, you open the door. Then in this program, we're taking the top 12 superpowers for times of great change in an era, in the specific era shift that we're going through right now. And we're actually giving you practice in them and showing them how they're already in use. And the third piece is we are actually going to help you embody them and make them your new normal, so that this time in life actually, just like what I said earlier, It actually causes you not only to manage yourself through these times of great change, but you actually you embody new ways of being. You make spiral jumps. You reach new paradigms in the 6 weeks we're going to be working together because we're going to give you homework between weeks. By the way, if you can't be there live, the replay happens on Sundays. Replay every week on a Sunday. You can listen on Sunday if you can't be there on Saturday, but you want to be there. And we're going through superpowers, including how to bring through wisdom from elders and from guides, some of your most powerful guides, as a normal thing to do, not as something that happens ad hoc or as a miracle, but as an embodied way of being. That's just one of the superpowers. There are 11 others. You understand? Like, we're talking about being able to take contrast and have it supercharge you instead of take you out and make you distracted. Literally have it make you more present and more receptive to the solutions. How do you do that? That's 2 of them. That's just 2 of the superpowers. The other 10 are magical. It's probably the most affordable program with the deepest amount of alchemy that we teach. It is deep alchemy. So if you ever wanted to work with us, this is the time. And Adam is already, my producer and loving husband, has already put it into the chat. All right, so that is innate abilities. Okay, so for you guys, we want to talk about a superpower you already have, not one that we're going to teach in Innate Abilities 2.0 coming up. You know, we've already done 1.0 many years ago. This is like way up leveling. Eliza, thank you for the pronunciation. I love that. And for those of you who look at my last name, right along the lines of Eliza, my last name is pronounced Huff. So yeah, I get you, Eliza. I'm probably not the only one that's done that, huh? All right, guys. So jumping into that superpower. So we've already shared that how you know something is a superpower is that you already be it. The second thing is you probably take it for granted because the superpowers that you're born with, which is why I'm talking about one that you already have, right? The superpowers you're born with are the superpowers that actually probably have created the greatest evolutions in your entire life. And this superpower you guys all had. You had it when you were 4 and 5 years old, guaranteed, 3, 4, 5, because these are the only people that I attract, the people with this particular superpower. And I love this. It's the ability to be able, and Midori says hers is human connection, like actually getting connected to other people in a way that isn't just casual. It's heart to heart. It's meaningful. It's beautiful. And all of those superpowers came from one bigger superpower. And that superpower, I'm going to say that it's multifaceted. Everyone that comes and plays with us, drumroll please, has the capacity to see the bigger picture of what's going on around them. And you probably take it for granted. You probably have a sense of what's going on in the world, that there's something bigger than just, arguing about political sides, or bigger than just, arguing about ideologies. You could probably feel, and put it in the comments, you can probably feel the something bigger that's happening. I want to show you that this is a superpower. This is how I know it's a superpower. Because the majority of people that walk around the earth, I would say probably 97%, do not have this superpower. And how I know is because when you have this superpower, you are more guided towards building bridges or being the change, or you're inspired to figure out the answer to the question, what's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference right now? How can I serve? What is my passion and purpose that is made for this time? And how do I optimize that? How do I bring that to fruition? What's the dream that's dreaming me? I'm going to tell you that people that don't have that big picture, that don't have that big picture superpower where they don't see systems or they don't see the bigger picture, what happens is they don't even think to ask the question, what's the greatest thing I can do? They don't think about what's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would have me waking up inspired and go to bed knowing that I did what I came to the planet for. The majority of the population doesn't even ask that question. Why? Because if you can't see the bigger picture of the evolutions, you don't have faith that we can get to the other side. You already have a question of whether your life matters or whether, and you'll take yourself out. And that's what the most of the rest of humanity, or you'll give your power away to someone else. I'm going to bring up something from my TED Talk, okay? There's a story when I was in Phoenix, Arizona. I did a great big old event. And when I did that event, it was actually someone invited me to their house. She had no idea like 75 people would be showing up in her living room, which is great. And I'm happy to do that again, by the way. I love doing those kinds of things. It's much more intimate than 300 people in a town hall, or 1,000 people in India or whatever. So the point being this, you guys, and Adam, you can open the TED Talk link is just right there. You can open it up and off you go. It's called The Movement of One to Many. But in that, I tell this story, and my marketing person was there, who I love. Her name was Tracy, and she has a son. And this son is he's so bright, so sharp. He's 12 years old. And of course, there's all these adults and this one kid who's 12 years old. And she's at the back of the room because she wants everybody else to be at the front, not her. And so is he, therefore. And I can't see him. All I can see is this little hand going up at the end of our conversation. And at the end of our conversation and this beautiful interaction, which was powerful, 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 I see this little hand waving and I realize that it's him. It's not an adult sitting down. And I go, "Yes, sweetie, what's your question?" And he says, if we're this power, like if all this is true about physics and all this is true about life and all this is true, if we really are both quantum physical and three-dimensional, and that we have access to, let's say, innate abilities that are, it's like we have genetics that are multidimensional that give us the characteristics of being able to bring heaven to earth by, I mean, that's what it is to be a creator, right? We have all these incredible, incredible abilities. And when he was waving his hand around, and by the way, if you're having any troubles registering for innate abilities, you can do what Eliza did, support at thewideawakening.com, and someone will absolutely get back to you. Support at thewideawakening.com. Don't let a little glitch. Sometimes the universe is kind of like testing you to see, it's like, are you really ready for this? Do you really want to make that quantum leap? And you'll have these little glitches. I'm gonna come back around to that. Actually, you bring up a good point, Eliza, but I'm gonna come back around to it, okay? So he put up his hand and he asked Jennifer if all this is true, which it is. I mean, we literally at the basis of us are made of little particles that are in a fractal universe. The particles and waveforms and light forms and all of the different things, all of them basically come to an agreement in a much denser state called 3D. And that's after creating the stage of the 3D we get to live in. It's like this, the quantum particles are like the biggest Russian doll. And then there's all of these stages within that, including, first atoms being invented, and then the stage called planet Earth, and then life itself being invented until finally you get life itself creating a human body, and off we go, right? It's pretty powerful. And here we are. Here we are as the original stardust in human form. I mean, that's insane. And we get to take problems and create solutions. That's what a creator does. That's what we were born for. That's why it feels so bad when you're just trying to stay safe and in control. Safe and in control is not what you're born for. So now he's asking the question, a 12-year-old. He takes everything I've said and he asks the most brilliant question that I didn't even know the answer to, that it came out of my mouth, until it came out of my mouth. And he said, Jennifer, if all this is true, then why don't the people in power do something about what's going on? Interestingly enough, this was 12 years ago. This wasn't even now. And my response to him, that surprised me as much as everybody else, was, the issue is not the people in power need to do something about what's going on. The issue, my friend, is that you think that they are the people in power. And then there was silence in the entire room because everyone sat with that. As soon as we say that someone else has the power, we literally become survival-based beings. I'm just going to wait for someone else to change all this stuff to be the solution bringer througher, right? Because, clearly they have the money, they have the status, they have the connections. But I'm going to tell you, then there was Greta Thunberg. Then there was, Buddha. Then there was, gosh, I'm thinking of my friend that you don't even know that made Earth Day go global. You don't know him because he doesn't care to be known that much. You get me? These are just, well, aside from Buddha, just everyday people. And even Buddha was everyday people. You get what I'm saying? They just brought through the same superpowers I've been talking about. So what's the issue? What's the superpower that you all have, that I have, that we have collectively, that Adam has? We have the ability to actually see the systems and what's actually going on. We have the ability, the innate ability, to tap into the something more, even if we can't put our finger on it. And we know, like we know, even if we're super frustrated, the frustration is coming from that we know that we're being called to create. We know it. It might be what we're creating isn't quite it. It might be, we need to switch gears, but we know that there's something more. We do. We just do. Yeah. And we also somehow have a sense, and this is even if you didn't have parents that gave you this feeling of I can see the bigger picture of this family system. Or even when you were 5, looking at your parents, you knew something was off or that they were right on, or you knew things beyond what they knew. You might have questioned it. You might have lost that confidence, but you did. At some point, you did. I want you to know that that is a multidimensional innate ability, the ability to be able to see the big picture and know that somehow your life is given to creating upon whatever it is that you witness that makes your eye twitch. So if something makes your eye twitch, really makes your eye twitch, and it keeps coming back around, like this thing that you witness in humanity or in your family or in the world or whatever it is, in the environment. And Eliza, I get it. You knew it too. I think most of us knew it too. A lot of people don't remember 2 years old though, but yay. I love the age 3 because I think it's just when you're still magical, you haven't been switched, and you can remember far enough, right? It's like, I love that you remembered it too. Wicked. So the point is this: you knew. It's interesting. I'm thinking of someone right now, and he knows who he is, who in high school had that knowing. He knew. He played. He played with it all. He had so much fun. He's he's a little bit of a bugger, a little bit of a pest, a little bit of a, playing at the fringes. But he knew. And just like many of us, something happened and then he forgot. But then he started to remember again that he is superpowered. And what I would say to all of you is that that feeling, whether you had it at 15 years old and then you forgot, whether you've just been remembering in the last few years, it doesn't matter, or whether you've had it the whole time. God bless you. That takes a pretty strong several past lives to get to the place where you're so solid in your knowing that it doesn't go away, but that's not the majority. Right? Yeah. So there is a little piece to this that I want to add. So this is a foundational piece to the people that generally are interested in hanging out in the wide awakening world with me. They generally have a sense that there's something more for them, for this world. They have a sense that a little piece of urgency inside, not like an urgency that there's something wrong, but an urgency like a heart calling, right? And that heart calling is a thing. That heart calling is the language of consciousness. It's the language of God. The language of God is passion. And that passion, that language is a clue as to whether you're on track or not. So when that feeling goes away, you're just off track. Don't judge it. It's okay when the feeling goes away. You're just off track. It's a redirect. It's like, oh, I haven't got my attention on things that bring me to the frequency of the solutions. Okay. So now the job is to put your attention on things that bring you to the frequency and do other stuff. Do stuff that brings your frequency up, right? Just move the needle. Because as soon as you move the needle, you'll feel the passion, the feeling of the universe pouring through you. Passion, the language of God. God's megaphone speaks passion language through your heart. And when you're in that place, that's when you need to know the other superpowers, because the other superpowers are the well-practiced abilities, including the ability, which I love this ability, the ability to have a problem and have the problem actually be redirected instantly to the solution instead of having to wait for a day, a week, a month. So, including being really clear on what your next step is, or being really clear on what your project is, or be I mean, that's an amazing innate ability. Can you imagine how quickly things bip along when you could do that? And sometimes even knowing that you're being redirected and to let go of pushing to get the answers. Because again, one of the superpowers that you probably don't have, if you're someone that brings through the idea of that big system view of your parents or what's going on in the world, when you get down to it, you you probably are impatient because visionaries tend to bring through incredible ideas, and it never happens fast enough in this time space reality. So, another superpower is actually to master the art of divine impatience, meaning there's a skill set surrounding leveraging impatience to cause massive evolutions in your life. Don't you want to know that? Right? We'll talk about it a bit in innate abilities. Before we go today, I want to give you, I would say, 3 steps to actually leverage this innate ability that you have, this ability to know that more can be done and you're here to create and that all is well, and that, this innate ability around being able to see the big systems is the same ability that has you not wanting to watch the news because you don't want to be distracted from your forward path. Because when you listen to the news, the language of the universe disappears, or at least it gets diffused or diminished, right? So, people who have this superpower that I talked about today generally uh, don't watch the news unless they want to be catalyzed. I watch the news because I get catalyzed. I'm like, this because I use the superpower where the polarity actually switches me into power. And when you're like that, you just are in the most badass becoming ever. We're teaching that one in innate abilities. So, and hello over in Portugal, Bruna. So, all right. That's how you know we were meant to dance together. You have that superpower. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you those 5 steps, but first I want to mention again, I mean, I said it at the beginning, ad nauseum, I'm going to say it because it's profound to be in innate abilities. The original one is profound still. And this evolution is because of the era shift we're going through. The last evolution was because the shift we went through was that we don't need to die and change bodies to embody superpowers. So that era shift was around being able to stay alive and embody the superpowers to be a mastery in this world. And all of the 44 superpowers that we taught then. This is about an era shift, where there are kids coming in that are plugged into how the world is going to work, but you could be like one of those kids just by embodying the superpowers that they're coming in with. That's what we're doing tomorrow. So that's innate abilities. That's when it starts. 6 weeks, 3 hours each, lots of Q&A, lots of personal time. And every time we're going to do homework so that you can make these evolutionary, I would say, exponentiating superpowers your new normal. Why? Not because you're broken and you need fixing, but because it's friggin' expansive, delicious, and totally fun. And because we don't deal with people who want to fix their brokenness because we don't see anyone broken out there, right? So, all right, the 3 steps for today. Ready? The first step is whenever you see something that might feel overwhelmingly difficult or hard. Maybe it's about your son or your daughter. Maybe it's about your, the world or your community. It could be about your mom or dad, whatever it is. Right now, my parents, they're both 85 years old and they're going through some stuff. I've had to use these steps myself in that, right? So the first step is you look at something that's like to you maybe suboptimal. And then what you do is you remember that we're quantum physical beings and that the solution and the problem has to exist at the same time. Okay? The solution and the problem has to exist at the same time. It has to, because otherwise the universe would collapse on itself. So the first step is to realize if there's a little bit of eye twitching or, you're feeling something in the pit of your stomach, know that the instant you feel that, the solution is already there. It can't not be. Those are the laws of physics. So that's step one. Already you should feel a little bit of relief, right? Step two. Step two is now that you know that there's an issue, you can feel it. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, or maybe you've taken it all the way to ridiculous upset, you know? So the second step is to take spaciousness breaks. In other words, to actually go and do something that makes you actually feel a little bit better, not on the subject where the problem is. So when my dad and mom were telling me about a couple of things that were going on, right after that, I called one of my friends and we talked about something fun. And then I went for a big long walk with a great, with a great podcast like this one on, right? And I just moved energy to get myself to the frequency of not the problem. Like Einstein said, you can't solve the problem with the same energy that created it, right? You don't want to stay in that. You'll become paralyzed. Simple step. And simple, but isn't it interesting how, as a lone wolf, you just think it's, your problem. You've got to go into it alone. And then what you do is you drill down on it. Literally, the drilling down of which keeps you in the problem. That's how physics works. Where you put your attention and on is what expands, right? And finally, 3, what you want to do uh, with all of that is before you go to bed every night, I do this every night, take some time to drop into the blessings of your life, which probably many of you do, but I'm going to take it up a notch. Okay. Usually our people are the kind of people that do that stuff already, but I'm going to take it up a notch here, people, where we're talking about being in total flow, right? So I say something that's a morphing of my dear friend William Linville, what he asked me to say many, many years ago. It's a shift on that. It's God, creation, or higher levels, whatever you believe. Take command. Take command. I declare everything I thought about, did, and have been working on complete. And if you can't say that authentically, you need a pad of paper and a pen beside your bed to write down all this stuff that you're thinking of, right? So that so you can pick it up in the morning, you declare it all complete. If your mind can't stop thinking, there are all sorts of things you can do to calm your mind, but that's for another time. And then I say, I'm available to be shown. Show me. I'm available to be shown. Just show me. It's powerful. That little notebook and a pen are useful because if you get any ideas, you can write them down when you would get up in the morning. And then in the morning when I get up, before I do anything, and I tell you, Yesterday, I did not do this because for some reason, I don't know if it was my alarm didn't go off, what happened? Something happened. And what ended up happening is, I had a different kind of day. But when I wake up, I just wake up in the blessings. I deliberately, it's like automatic now. I wake up and I just count. It's like I love my pillow. I'm so glad I have a roof over my head. The flowers are blooming outside. I can't wait to see them. Um, I get to commune with some vulnerable and amazing people today. Whatever it is. I love my office. The whole love my husband, love my dog. And I really drop into the feeling of it just like I did. I want to make a good vibes sandwich of my sleep because in between the time I do it when I go to bed and when I wake up, I literally am available to all of consciousness. And that's when I want to receive the answers that are aligned with the frequency that I'm putting myself at. It's efficient, and I love efficiency. All right, you guys, that's it for today. Have the best and most wonderful rest of whatever you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Same bat place, same bat channel. And we'll sing and dance and play together again. Can't wait to hear what happened with the homework. Bye for now.